Early in the morning of his great-great-grandfather's wedding, a neighbor saw him in his Sunday best. He was driving his courting horse, Charlie, and the neighbor asked, "Where are you going, Adam?" And he replied, "I'm going to see her." And that evening, your great-great-grandmother was sitting as beautiful as can be next to him as they rode through the tall prairie grass.
Where did they live, Grandma?
Well, he and his brothers had cleared some land. So next to the woods, they built a new little cabin. And that's where your great-grandfather was born.
Were there Indians there? Didn't they build a little house in the prairie?
Well, yes, there were some Indians. And no, there wasn't much prairie left. It had mostly been claimed for farmland. But you know, it's getting kind of late, and I think it's time to go to bed.
Oh, Grandma, please.
Come now, you need to get some sleep. But tonight in your dreams, I want you to see it for yourself with your very own eyes. The tall prairie grasses, the little cabin in the woods, and the rivers running sparkling clear.
And Indians?
And Indians, like the mighty Miami and Potawatomi. And maybe next time when you come, I can tell you about the great Tecumseh and his brother, the Prophet. Now, good night, little ones.
Universal in nature, the stories of our ancestors seem to hold a certain spell on listeners, young or old alike. What is it we find so fascinating about the stories of our forefathers? Could it be because they tell us something about our own identity, who we are today? Or maybe we find them to be an inspiration. The circumstances and difficulties our ancestors overcame might be the encouragement we need to face our own challenges. Whatever the case, we all feel the need to pass on important traditions to the next generation.
I really think it's every generation's understanding of their past that prepares them for the future. The challenges and decisions of our ancestors are very much what shaped who we are today.
Every generation has to face difficult decisions. Understanding past decisions and their consequences will help our children make wise choices in the future.
When you think about it, you can cry. A 75-year-old man can cry tears because that's where we lost our culture. And they didn't have a chance to pass it on.
And they didn't pass it on. How many of us have wished someone would have passed on just a glimpse of our past? To see, to touch, to understand. Often all we are left with are a few dusty old books. But all of that is about to change with the development of a new 300-acre cultural attraction situated on one of Indiana's most significant natural and historic sites. Corporations, foundations, individuals, the state of Indiana, and 23 Great Lakes Native American tribes from Indiana and across the country are joining together not just to preserve heritage, but to bring the past to life at the museums at Prophetstown.
This doesn't look much different than any other Indiana soybean field, but there's an extraordinary amount of history here. 10,000 years ago, this site was a woodland meadow with trees and grasses just beginning to flourish after the glaciers retreated. Nomadic Native Americans hunted woolly mammoths and other large animals along the Wabash. 400 years ago, Europeans traveled here from the Great Lakes to trade furs with Indian trappers. 200 years ago, Tecumseh and the Prophet led the largest intertribal coalition ever, right here, to try and preserve their homelands in the Great Lakes area. And just 150 years ago, farmers first plowed this fertile prairie soil and raised their crops and their families. Yes, this land is rich, very rich, in the history of great events and great people that shape not only the land, but who we are today.
The museums at Prophetstown is a huge public-private partnership. The Indiana General Assembly has authorized purchase of 2,700 acres to create a new park surrounding the museums at Prophetstown. Work has begun, and completion is expected in the year 2005. The state then authorized the creation of a new not-for-profit corporation, the Museums at Prophetstown, and agreed to lease to the new corporation at no cost a 300-acre campus. On this campus, private funds will be used to develop museums of Native American, environmental, and agricultural heritage. Since being established in 1995, Greater Lafayette corporations, foundations, and over 1,000 museum members have contributed $300,000 in project seed funds. Just as our ancestors did, we're working together to make the museums at Prophetstown a reality for future generations. What a partnership. Just northeast of Greater Lafayette, 4 educational facilities will be developed. The Wabash Valley Living History Farm, the Prairie Environmental Center, the Native American Cultural Center, and the Eagle Wing Visitors Center. Together, they will form one of the largest museum complexes in the Midwest. There simply will be nothing like it in the entire Great Lakes region.
I grew up on an Indiana farm, and I remember working with both horses and early tractors, just like those you see around here. Our farm will interpret family farm life of the 1920s. As a child, I remember those days when technology brought great change. Farm families have never been the same since then, and I want my grandchildren to be able to come here and see and understand what all this change has meant. The Wabash Valley Living History Farm will have a 1918 Sears and Roebuck model farmstead, and will show the farm family working together from sunup until sunset to make food for the world. A lot of our country's values are rooted in our agricultural heritage. Yet only 3% of our population today have had the privilege of experiencing farm life. The Living History Farm will provide an exceptional opportunity to pass on a way of life that's gone forever.
The earliest settlers reported the beauty of seeing thousands and thousands of acres of prairie grasses and wild flowers. Unfortunately, very little of it remains today. In fact, this is one of the last remaining acres of native grasses in Tippecanoe County. That's 1 out of 322,000 in this county. We really haven't done a very good job of preserving our natural environment. The Prophetstown Prairie Environmental Center will provide a chance for visitors to walk through and see what 200 acres of native grasses, wildflowers, and virgin forest must have looked like. We also expect wildlife like deer, wild turkey, and hopefully even the prairie chicken to return to this area. These areas are vitally important for our children and their children. Seeing it for themselves will help future generations understand how important caring for our environment really is. If we don't begin now, I doubt much will be left in even a few years.
185 years ago, my ancestors, along with 12 other tribes, joined Tecumseh and the Prophet at Prophetstown. It was a critical turning point in our history. And so for that reason, this is a special place to me and all Great Lakes Native Americans. The Woodland Native American Cultural Center, designed by Potawatomi architect Burke Wyatt, will have 15,000 square feet of exhibits and a state-of-the-art education wing. The education wing will have classrooms and a distance learning center allowing broadcasting to homes and schools across America and throughout the world. Adjacent to the center, there will be 2 living history villages. One will represent the 1810 Prophetstown Central Village, and the other a Middle Woodlands prehistoric village of 1000 AD. Both will offer visitors a chance to experience the sophisticated daily lives of Great Lakes Native Americans. There isn't another facility like it anywhere. At last, Great Lakes tribes will have a place to preserve and exhibit their rich and sophisticated heritage for generations yet to come. The center will be a source of pride for all Americans.
This project has a lot of things going for it: natural beauty, historical significance, and location. Being situated in a one-of-a-kind state park would naturally attract hundreds of thousands. The museums at Prophetstown will be located between Chicago and Indianapolis, with direct access to Interstate 65, one of America's busiest highways. Studies have estimated that we will have as many as 500,000 visitors annually, of which at least 150,000 will be school children, so you can see the importance of a well-designed visitor center. Ken Rhine, prominent Native American architect, has designed the Eagle Wing Center to provide exhibits about Native Americans, agriculture, and the environment, as well as an orientation theater, education suites for workshops and classes, and a full-service restaurant.
The museums at Prophetstown have captured a superb vision for the future, a way to share our Native American, environmental, and agricultural heritage with all who visit this remarkable center for learning. I sincerely hope you will join me and Prophetstown's many partners in supporting this worthwhile project by making a gift, becoming members, or volunteering your time and service. The museums at Prophetstown provides each of us with an important opportunity to help in preserving 3 of our culture's most important components: Native American life, the natural environment, and family farm traditions. From the hearts of this generation to the hands of the next, we must make the Prophetstown vision a reality.
Sweet dreams.